right? So we got this research paper about methylene blue, and wow. Um, this stuff is way more interesting than just something that turns your fish tank water blue.
Right.
We're talking like potential treatment for dementia, specifically Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
This is a serious deep dive.
Absolutely.
Expert speaker, are you ready to like break down the science on this?
Oh, absolutely. And, it's fascinating how methylene blue, or MB, has been around forever. It was synthesized in the 1800s.
Oh.
Like even before the FDA even existed.
Really?
And now it's showing up in cutting-edge brain research.
That's pretty cool.
Talk about a comeback story.
Okay, but just to be clear, this isn't like some miracle cure we're taking out of the fish tank, right? This is serious science, and we need to break it down carefully.
Exactly. That's right. Our goal today is to make this complex science, understandable for everyone.
Right.
And focus on, what you need to know
Yeah.
about MB and its potential.
So first things first, what is methylene blue, and how does it even work in the brain?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
MB is a compound that can actually impact the brain in a number of ways.
Okay.
It's not just one thing.
Right.
Think of it like a multi-tool.
A multi-tool?
Yeah, for your brain cells.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What kind of tools are we talking about?
So one of the biggest issues in Alzheimer's is something called tau protein.
Okay.
And you can think of it like scaffolding inside your brain cells, helping them to keep their shape and function.
Mm-hmm.
But in Alzheimer's, tau gets all tangled up like a messy knot of headphones.
Oh, yeah.
And that disrupts how brain cells communicate with each other.
So it's like a traffic jam in the brain.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
And one of MB's key abilities is preventing those tau tangles from forming.
So MB is like a tiny traffic cop keeping everything flowing smoothly.
I like
That's
it.
pretty cool.
It is, but MB doesn't stop there.
Okay.
It's also a master cleaner.
Okay.
Our brain cells accumulate junk over time.
Right.
Damaged proteins and other waste products, and MB helps clear out this trash more efficiently.
So like taking out the garbage more often.
Exactly.
Get behind that.
Yeah, and here's another tool in MB's kit. It supports those tiny powerhouses in our cells, the mitochondria.
Okay.
They're responsible for providing energy to every cell, especially brain cells.
Mm-hmm.
And MB can actually give them a boost,
Oh, wow.
making them work better and protecting them from damage.
So it's like giving your brain cells like a power-up.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And as if that wasn't enough,
There's more.
MB also affects neurotransmitters,
Okay.
which are like the chemical messengers in your brain.
Right.
It can increase the levels of acetylcholine, serotonin, and dopamine.
Wow.
These are crucial for things like memory, mood, and thinking clearly.
So we're talking potential benefits for memory, mood, and energy?
Potentially, yeah.
This is getting interesting, but I know you mentioned research. So tell me, has this actually worked in studies?
So the results have been a bit of a mixed bag.
Okay.
Early studies looked really promising, showing that MB could slow down cognitive decline in some Alzheimer's patients.
Mm-hmm.
But when larger trials were conducted, the overall results weren't as clear.
So it's not like a slam dunk then, what happened in those larger trials?
It seems there are some nuances to how MB works,
Okay.
One interesting finding is that some people who took MB alone,
Okay.
without other Alzheimer's medications,
Interesting.
seem to have better results.
So maybe MB works best when it's not like competing with other drugs.
That's one theory researchers are exploring.
Okay.
And there's also a lot of interest in testing MB at earlier stages of dementia,
Okay.
like mild cognitive impairment or MCI,
Right.
before too much damage has occurred.
So catching it early might be key.
It could be, yeah.
Makes sense. But one thing I'm wondering about is the dosage.
Okay.
How much MB do you actually need to take for it to be effective?
That's a great question. And to be honest, it's something scientists are still figuring out. Early studies used moderate doses, but newer research suggests that much lower doses might be enough,
Okay.
especially when MB is used on its own.
Okay, so the dosage is still a bit of a mystery.
Kind of, yeah.
But we can't talk about dosage without talking about safety, right?
Absolutely.
Is methylene blue safe to take? Are there any side effects?
Well, the good news is that MB has been used in other areas of medicine for a long time
Okay.
and is generally well tolerated,
Okay, that's reassuring.
especially at lower doses.
But what about side effects? Anything we need to be aware of?
Yeah, the most common side effects are gastrointestinal issues,
Okay.
things like nausea or diarrhea, but they're usually mild.
Okay.
And
And I have to ask about the most obvious side effect, the blue part. Does it actually turn anything blue?
you're right. You can't really avoid that. It's
Yeah.
pretty hard to miss the blue urine.
Okay.
It's harmless, though.
Oh, right.
Just a quirk of MB's chemical structure.
So be prepared for some colorful bathroom breaks. But what about more serious risks? Anything we need to be concerned about?
Yeah, there are a couple of things to be aware of.
Okay.
MB can interact with certain antidepressants,
Okay.
particularly SSRIs,
Uh-huh.
and increase the risk of something called serotonin syndrome,
Yeah.
which can be dangerous.
So if you're on antidepressants, definitely talk to your doctor before even thinking about trying MB.
Absolutely 100%.
Okay.
And MB is also not recommended for people with a specific enzyme deficiency
Okay.
called G6PD deficiency.
Okay.
Again, your doctor can tell you if MB is safe for you.
So it's not just a free-for-all. You need to be informed and work with your doctor.
Exactly.
But overall, the Alzheimer's trials haven't revealed any, major new safety concerns, right?
That's correct, yeah, compared to some other Alzheimer treatments.
Okay.
MB seems to have a good safety profile so far.
That makes sense. So while it's not a proven cure, MB definitely has a compelling story so far.
It does.
But where do we go from here? What does the future hold for methylene blue in the fight against dementia? This is where things get really interesting, right?
Absolutely, the research is evolving, and there are some exciting new avenues being explored.
Like what?
One of the big focuses now is on early intervention
Okay.
using MB before significant brain damage occurs.
So the idea is to catch it early and potentially slow down or even prevent the disease from progressing.
Exactly. Think of it like this. If you have a small crack in your foundation,
Right.
it's much easier to fix it right away
Right.
than to wait until the whole house starts to crumble.
So we're talking about preventative maintenance for the brain.
Exactly. And there's some evidence to support this approach.
Okay.
Studies are showing promising trends in people with mild cognitive impairment, or MCI,
Right.
who were treated with low-dose MB.
Okay.
They saw slower cognitive decline and were less likely to develop full-blown Alzheimer's.
That's encouraging, but you also mentioned personalized medicine as an area of research.
Yes.
What does that mean in the context of MB?
So personalized medicine is all about tailoring treatment to the individual. Scientists are working on identifying specific signs or genetic markers
Okay.
that could predict who is most likely to benefit from MB.
So it's like finding the right puzzle piece that fits perfectly.
Exactly. For example, some research suggests that MB might work better for people who don't have a specific gene variation called ApoE4.
ApoE4.
This gene is linked to a higher risk of Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And it seems like people with this variant might not respond as well to MB.
So in the future, doctors might be able to look at your genes and say, okay, MB is a good option for you. Or maybe we should try something else.
That's the goal.
That's amazing.
It's all about maximizing the chances of success while minimizing potential risks.
Right.
Another exciting area of research is combination therapies.
You mentioned that before, using MB alongside other treatments. Why is that approach so promising?
Well, remember how we talked about MB's multi-tool abilities?
Right.
It tackles several issues related to dementia, but it doesn't address everything. So the idea is that by combining MB with other treatments that target different aspects of the disease,
Right.
you might get a more powerful effect.
So it's like having a team of specialists working together.
Exactly. For example, MB primarily focuses on tau protein.
Okay.
But another big problem in Alzheimer's is the buildup of amyloid plaques.
Okay.
These are clumps of protein that disrupt brain function.
Right.
Researchers are exploring whether combining MB with drugs that clear out amyloid might be a more effective strategy.
That makes a lot of sense. Are there any combinations that are already showing promise?
It's still early, but there's a lot of interest in combining MB with cholinesterase inhibitors.
Okay.
These are medications commonly used to treat cognitive symptoms like memory loss and confusion in Alzheimer's patients.
But didn't you say that some studies suggested MB might work better on its own?
Yes, but those studies were mainly focused on slowing down the progression of the disease,
Right.
not necessarily treating the symptoms.
Okay.
Combining MB with cholinesterase inhibitors might be a way to enhance those cognitive benefits
Okay.
while also addressing the underlying disease process.
So it's about finding the right balance for each individual? This is getting pretty complex.
It is, and just when you thought it couldn't get any more intricate,
What?
there's one more research trend we need to discuss,
Okay.
and it involves light.
Wait, light therapy, you're really taking us down the rabbit hole now.
Trust me, this is where things get really interesting. You see, MB is photosensitive,
Okay.
which means it reacts to light.
Okay.
And researchers are exploring whether combining MB with something called red light therapy
Okay.
could make it even more effective.
Hold on, shining light into the brain, is that even safe?
It sounds futuristic, but it's actually based on solid science.
Okay.
Red light therapy, or photobiomodulation, is a non-invasive technique that uses low-level lasers, or LEDs, to deliver light to specific areas of the body, including the brain.
Okay, but how does this light help MB?
Remember how MB can boost those little energy factories in our cells, the mitochondria?
Yeah.
Well, red light can do the same thing.
Really?
It's like giving those batteries a recharge.
So you're essentially shining a light on the brain to power up the cells.
Precisely, and by combining MB with red light therapy, you're giving those mitochondria a double dose of energy-boosting power.
It's like a superhero power-up for the brain.
I like that.
But what about those harmful clumps of protein we talked about, the tangles and amyloid plaques? Can light therapy help with those?
That's the exciting part. Some studies show that exposing MB to light makes it better at dissolving those protein clumps. It's like the light supercharges MB's cleaning abilities.
This is incredible. So are we talking about a potential breakthrough in dementia treatment?
Hold on to your hats. While this research is promising, it's still very experimental.
Okay.
We need more studies, especially in humans, to confirm these findings and ensure it's safe.
Right. It's not a miracle cure just yet, but the possibilities are definitely intriguing. So how does this light therapy work in practice? Are we talking about some kind of brain surgery?
Not at all. It's surprisingly simple.
Okay.
People typically wear a special helmet or cap that has LEDs that emit red or near-infrared light.
Okay.
You just sit comfortably while the light does its work.
Really?
It's painless and relatively quick, usually around 20 to 30 minutes per session.
So you're basically getting a brain-boosting light show that's pretty cool. But is it actually effective? Have there been any studies on humans combining MB and red light therapy?
There have been a few small pilot studies and individual case reports that suggest some cognitive benefits.
Okay.
But we need larger, more rigorous clinical trials to really know for sure.
Right.
One of the challenges is figuring out the right dosage and frequency of light exposure.
Right.
Too much light could be harmful, just like with any medication.
It's all about finding the right balance. So to recap, we've got early intervention, personalized medicine combination therapies, and now light therapy. It sounds like the future of dementia research is pretty bright, pun intended.
I agree. We're learning so much about the brain and developing innovative approaches to dementia. This is just the beginning.
Well, I'm definitely excited to see what the future holds for methylene blue and other promising treatments before we move on to the next part of our deep dive. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listener?
It's important to remember that dementia research is constantly evolving. While MB has shown potential, it's crucial to approach it with cautious optimism and rely on evidence-based information from reputable sources. Talk to your doctor, stay informed, and never give up hope.
Well said. And to our listener, we'll be back with part 3 of our methylene blue deep dive, where we'll explore what the future holds for MB and the broader landscape of dementia research. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive into methylene blue. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basics of MB to the cutting-edge research combining it with light therapy. It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
Expert speaker, as we wrap up, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what the future holds for MB and the fight against dementia.
Well, it's an incredibly exciting time to be in this field. We're seeing so much progress in dementia research.
Right.
With new discoveries and innovative therapies emerging all the time. I believe the future is bright.
I like what you did there.
Both literally and figuratively.
Right.
Considering the potential of light therapy.
So where do you see the most promising developments happening?
One area I'm particularly excited about is prevention. We've talked about early intervention.
Right.
But imagine if we could stop dementia before it even starts.
That sounds almost too good to be true. Is that even a possibility?
It might not be as far off as you think. We're learning more every day about the lifestyle factors, the genetics, and the environmental influences that contribute to dementia risk.
So it's like identifying those risk factors and taking steps to mitigate them before any damage occurs.
Exactly. Imagine a world where we can assess your individual risk profile and provide personalized recommendations to help you lower your chances of developing dementia.
That would be amazing. What kind of recommendations are we talking about?
Oh, many of them are things we already know are good for overall health.
Right.
Maintaining a healthy weight, eating a balanced diet rich in fruits and vegetables, exercising regularly, getting enough sleep, managing stress, and staying socially connected.
So it's not just about finding a magic pill, it's about taking a holistic approach to brain health.
Absolutely. These lifestyle factors can make a real difference, but we're also developing more targeted interventions based on individual risk profiles.
Can you give an example?
Sure, if someone has a strong genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's, we might recommend early screening for amyloid plaques, which are a hallmark of the disease.
And if those plaques are detected early, what can be done?
There are some exciting new drugs in development that target amyloid either by clearing it from the brain or preventing it from forming in the first place.
So these could be potential game changers in the fight against Alzheimer's.
Absolutely, and it's not just about amyloid. Remember tau, the other protein involved in Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
We're also seeing progress in developing drugs that target tau, aiming to prevent or clear those harmful tangles.
So it's a multi-pronged attack targeting different aspects of the disease. This is really encouraging. Are there any other promising areas of research you want to highlight?
One word: Stem cells.
Stem cells for dementia. That sounds incredible.
I know it might sound like science fiction, but the research is showing real promise. Stem cells have this amazing ability to develop into different types of cells in the body,
Right?
including brain cells.
So the idea is to transplant these stem cells into the brain and help it regenerate.
That's one approach, but there are other strategies as well, like using stem cells to deliver growth factors or other therapeutic agents to damaged areas of the brain.
So it's like giving the brain a boost of healing power. Are these stem cell therapies available now?
Not quite yet. They're still in the early stages of development, and we need more research to ensure they are safe and effective, but the potential is huge.
It definitely gives us a lot to be hopeful for. So as we wrap up our deep dive into methylene blue and the future of dementia research, what's the key message you want to leave our listener with?
I want to emphasize that dementia is not an inevitable part of aging. It's a disease. And like any disease, it can be prevented, treated, and hopefully one day cured. We're making incredible strides. And I believe that with continued research and innovation, we can create a future where dementia is no longer a threat.
That's a powerful and inspiring message. And to our listener, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we understand about these diseases, the better equipped we'll be to fight them. Stay curious, stay informed, and never give up hope.